Hello and welcome to another episode of Raise the Bar. We have a special high jump edition here on the Sky High and Fly Jump Lab podcast. I'm your host, Troy Haines, and we are looking ahead to the qualifying on Thursday. The week is June 27th. It'll be Thursday, June 27th. And there are 24 jumpers who are vying for 3 spots on the U.S. Olympic team in the high jump. The field will be cut from 24 to 12, and one of those young gentlemen who will be jumping in the trials is Dontavious Hill. And I've been watching Dontavious on for a couple years. We've been very fortunate to have him come on before, just recently this year. Talked about his goals leading into this year, and now those goals are starting to come to fruition. He's got a 7.5 jump on the books just recently, a PR, and he was already qualified for the trials, but now he's even more qualified for the trials, and that has raised his ranking up. I believe he's up to number 4 in the U.S. And maybe inside the top 25 in the world. And what else do we have going on? We are going to talk about his jumps at 7.5, and he took 3 jumps at 7.8 at 234, which were pretty impressive. So we look to talk with Dontavious here in just a minute and break down those videos. So stay tuned for a special U.S. Olympic Trials edition of Raise the Bar with Troy Haines. So when are you jumping? What's the day that you do the first qualifying round?
So jumping on June 27th, I believe it's at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I think so.
So
But yeah.
the 27th, that's almost a week from today. So that'll be Thursday. So then you go qualify
Yes.
Thursday and then finals Saturday or Sunday.
It's finals on Sunday. They give us 2 days in between.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, ideally, you show up, you're warmed up, you're ready to go, and you jump 214, 219. I wouldn't figure 219 would do it, but I would think 224 would do it for sure, wouldn't you?
Yeah, my guess is, we always can guess, but 224 is going to be automatic. 219 with misses potentially, and at best, maybe one person maybe squeaks in with 14 clean,
Yeah.
maybe. But you never
Yeah.
know how it goes. You never
Right.
know. But I'm thinking 24 going to get it for sure
Yeah.
because, yeah,
And 219 with no misses almost for sure.
potentially,
Yeah. Depends.
potentially.
Okay. And then if you were to do that, you do that 214, 219, 224. Let's say best case scenario, 3 jumps. You take a lot of warm up jumps on those kinds of days.
No, I'm just, I just do pop-ups. I don't really. So the way I think about it, I don't have this mindset of I have to warm up my rotation. I have to warm up all those things because those are positions that we practice, on the regular, and that I've been doing for 10 years.
Right.
So I'm like, mentally, I don't have to warm up how to rotate my body. I don't have to do that. It's like if I believe I can rotate, if I have faith that I can do it, I truly believe I can get it done. And
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to tell you since we are recording, so a lot of people when they saw me jump that 7.5 first attempt, they're like, "Oh my goodness, like that was crazy!" Like it is kind of crazy to think about, but I've done that before. So throughout my career, so when I
Mm-hmm.
was a junior at Auburn, when I made my first NCAA's, I opened. I was indoors, and I asked my coach. I said, "We were in practice the day before, and I jumped 218 in practice." And in the shakeout. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I just jumped this in practice. Like, I can do this. That's a PR." So the next day I said, "Coach, can I come in at this height?" He was skeptical about it, but he let me do it. And I PR'd. My PR at the time was 7.1, 216. I opened at 218 and got it first attempt. And then fast forward, I went to NCAA's, got ninth place, jumped 213 there. Then we had our first home meet of the season. And I didn't have to jump because I had just jumped in NCAA's probably like 6 days ago. But my coach was like, "You can jump if you want to." And I said, "Okay, can I come in wherever I want to?" So he said, "Yeah." So I said, "I'm gonna do the same thing." I said, so the bar went to 218, right? And I'm thinking I'm gonna come in at 219 for a 1 centimeter PR. But they said the progression is going to 221. So I was like, dang. So I'm in the competition. I'm either gonna not jump or no height or I have to jump a 3 centimeter PR. Went out, jumped it, boom. Now my PR is 7'3". And that was two separate occasions where I increased by 3 centimeters here, or 2 centimeters here, then 3 centimeters by coming in at that height.
Yeah.
So that happened twice in 2021. Then fast forward in 2022, when I jumped 223, we were jumping. I was jumping against Darius Carbon, if you may know who that is, from Georgia, who jumped
Mhm.
230. So his PB was 22.26. On that day, he jumped 230. They had this crazy progression in Georgia. So he had the bar going like 208 to 213 to 218 to 223. So after I cleared 13, I talked to my coach. I was like, Coach, we don't need 18. We've already jumped 21, 22 this year. Let's go for the PR. 10 centimeter skip, 23. Boom, first attempt. And that's how I got to 23. Fast forward 1 year, and you might have saw that long progression of jumping 24. I started at like 190, 190,
Mhm.
193. And I jumped 24. That was the first time I got a PR from doing it the
A
traditional
long
way.
way. Yeah.
Yep. Then fast forward now, boom, come in at 26, boom. So that is something that's not foreign to me. It's always come from a sense of self belief and confidence in me just willing to go out and do it. So that's how I went from 7'1" to 7'5". Four
Mhm.
inches of my jumping and career have came from literally, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a whole other area. We haven't really talked. We've been talking a lot of, technique and training, some other things, but haven't really talked about the mind, the mindset, which is, huge. Like, I was telling you, I think I would try to talk people into the fact that being too close, the bar looks higher than it actually is, get farther away from it. But it's like, you're talking about PRs and how you go about that, the confidence. Every single time, I don't know if this is true for you, but every single time I can remember from once I understood what it was like to make higher heights, like, I think everybody PRs 3 or 4 times their first day. But, once you get up to, where, oh, this is higher than you've ever tried before, you're either in fear of it or you're gonna go get it. Like you're confident, you're like, I haven't figured this out yet, but I'm gonna get it. And then I remember, I can't remember one time any PR, high school or college, where I was stunned that it happened. Not once. Every single time. I remember the first time, 6'4" even, just like, oh, I've been messing around with this long enough. I'm gonna make it, and you run up and you make it. And it's almost like you don't even jump around after that. It's just like, okay, what's next? 6'6".
Yeah.
So it's like every time. Now, once I get into college, those moments were rarer. And then it seems to me also, I don't know if this is true for you, but in college, every time I PR'd, I backed up and I looked at it. I go, okay, I jumped 210 in high school. So I jumped 210, one of the first meets my sophomore year. And then when I jumped 7 feet for the first time, I think it was 214, or it might have been 215. But when I made that, I was pretty excited, but I was also, ready to move on, at that time. But the point was every time I PR'd in college, I didn't even win the meet, not once, because I was jumping against Lee Balkin, teammate of mine ended up jumping 7'6", 7'7". He was hard to beat. He was a lot like you. He hit vertical every time I ever watched him jump. I mean, if we were in the weight room doing the Vertec, 2 legs, 1 leg, I would beat Lee every time, stronger. He was taller, thinner, faster, and he had that skill when he ran the curve of hitting vertical. He jumped 7'3" and he jumped 230, 223 and 222 in high school. So he has the high school state meet record in California. It's not the state record, it's just the high school meet record. But
Mm-hmm.
he came into UCLA as a freshman jumping 7'3". It took me my senior year on my best day to do that. So he was a vertical guy. John Morris was a guy I was mentioning earlier from Cal. I never beat that guy. Now I jumped 7'2" against Cal and I came in third. That was the first time I jumped 218. I lose to Balkan and Morris, right? So then my senior, I jumped 219 and then 222, same meet. First time ever in college that I had a double meet PR. It was my last home meet ever at UCLA. Both of those lost to a guy named Mark. Oh, I can't remember. He was from Houston. He was coached by Tom Telez. Mark Reed jumped 4.5 and beat me. So not only first time I ever beat Lee Balkin, I had to PR twice to do it. and I still didn't win the meet because Mark Reed jumped 7'4.5". So every single time, but none of them were a surprise. I don't remember
Right.
any of them being, I can't believe it. You know, this is amazing. It was just like, and I remember distinctly before I was going, I was like, okay, all right, let's go get this. You know, here it comes. It wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You know, so
Yeah.
what do you think about that? The mentality of it, like this is bigger picture. What do you think you can jump if we go ahead now that you've seen yourself with these jumps at 7'8"? What's this? The sky's the limit. Like what's the limit for Dontavious? What do you think is out there?
Oh, I truly believe I'll be able to jump the American record. Maybe not this year, but in the future of my career, if I can have a career that a long, healthy career that I want to have, I'm talking 10 more years of track, 10
Mhm.
more years of weightlifting, 10 more years of sprint training, 10 more years of all of that. I truly believe I'll be able to jump, well, clear higher than what the American record is, and also take shots at the world record and potentially, be able to jump that. One thing that's definitely on my radar is to definitely get the opening height world record, which is 232 right now. I want to get the opening height world record. That'll be the first world record that I want to
Right?
break. Um, but yeah, I
I did not know about
just
that one. That's a great one.
yeah, I didn't know about it either until after I jumped 226, and then people just started reaching out to me, and I guess somebody sent it to the guy who holds the world record, Dalton Grant. I believe he's British, and he just reached out to me and stuff and told me that he holds the world record and stuff, and it was just a great connection to make, and it was
Mhm.
right before the competition, so no, right before the competition where I went to go try the 7'8". So I knew I was jumping at a world record. It's like if I do this, nobody has ever done it before.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thought, and even some of the greatest now reaching out like, hey man, like why did you come in that high? It's like some people who jumped 235 to almost 240, like they've never done that,
Right.
because but it's different, when it's literally you're going off of your own self-belief, your own faith in God, like, and because I don't have a coach this season. Like this year was pretty much a solo year, so it's
Mhm.
nobody in my ear telling me you probably should do this, you probably should do that. Or I even didn't tell my family or anybody when I decided to come in at that 7'5" height, because I really wanted to truly believe in my own self that this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
So everybody had the live results, and they were just like, "What is going on here? Like he's not coming in." And before they knew it, one miss, like, "Oh man, is he gonna get it?" I got it,
Yeah.
you know. And one thing I was telling like my some of my supporters on my live video, I was like, everybody is gonna look at you crazy, or nobody's gonna believe you can do it until you do it. It's like officials are gonna say, "You're coming in at this height." Your competitors are gonna be like, "No way," or whatever else. People are gonna roll their eyes. But when you clear it, there's no doubt from that point.
Yeah.
Everybody's it's handshakes, it's congratulations, it's
Right.
good job, it's you got me this time. That's what happens when you do something that nobody thinks you can do, or you're transcending and just changing things.
Yes.
And it's a cool thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the history of the world, right? The history of the world is when you step out and say, "There's another way to do this. There's a better way to do this." There's either, there might be one guy out of 100 being like, "Yeah, that's what I think." I had an idea like that too, but most of them are going, "No, man, you're crazy. That doesn't work that way. Look at the way everybody else does it. That's the way you do it. You open low, you get warmed up, you have your 8 jumps in there somewhere, and blah blah blah." I remember that meet we were talking about earlier. I got to jump against Sotomayor when he went 220, 225, 230, 235, and he took jumps at 240 that were really good. I remember thinking the only mistake he made was he should have come in at 230 or 235, because I saw the jumps as 7.2 and 7.4 as wasted jumps. I mean, they were ridiculous. He was so far over them. I was just like going, this is like easy warm up, for him. So, and it wasn't a question of waste because I don't remember him taking any warm up jumps. So I remember some run throughs, and everybody's waiting to see what he's going to do because he just broke the world record like a month before. And there was a great post. I don't know if you saw it today on Instagram, but they tracked the world records that have been filmed from way back, like Charlie Dumas, and even before, like the straddlers, because it was straddlers for a long time. And
Oh,
some of them
I've
had
seen
even
that.
jumped over 7 feet. before. And then they didn't even show, I don't know if they did show Fosbury in that progression. I don't know if Fosbury ever broke the world record. I think he might have jumped higher than anybody else doing the flop, but I don't know if he broke the world record as a flopper when he started, because he jumped 7-4, but and he won a gold medal in 68, right? But anyway, it was a fun progression. They had Stones in there. They didn't show all of Stones' once because I think he did it more than once. But they did show, once you started getting up there higher, there was like Joburg a couple times, Carlo Thranhart. They showed if a guy would tie it. But then I didn't realize that Sotomayor had jumped 240. I think he jumped 233 or 243, 244, and 245. So I didn't know that. And I saw the jumps and I was like, oh, I thought he just went, from 242 to 245 or whatever. But that the progressions and the styles are interesting. I forget, I don't know why I brought that up. I think we were talking about jumping really high and the world records. But yeah, the how did you do this? How did you break out? How did you jump up there? If you can open at 7-8 and then go, what's next, right? 7-8 is 236, and you go to what?
So that bar was 234, 7-8,
234, 7-8.
and
Yeah,
just think like that's 6 centimeters from the American record.
right.
Like that's not a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
I know in high jump I've tend to say in the past like centimeters is a lot in high jump, centimeters is a lot, but it's all about mindset. Whenever I was jumping, I jumped 226 4 days prior before attempting 7-8. I didn't have any training. I had like 2 3 days rest. I said I'm gonna go out here and do it again. And it's like when I think about what it takes to be a good jumper, like you said, it's so mental. You know what
hmm,
I'm saying? Like people can train for years and years and years and probably would never try and do what I just tried to do.
yeah,
It's all because of the mental aspect of it. To just go out there and just try to jump that 7-8, man, it was cool because I knew that if I failed or if I didn't clear the bar that day, I still gained something from it.
yeah,
And like you said, like I literally changed some of my goals. I had a goal on my wall this year. It said 234 because that would make me top 100 all time, and that was a career goal. That was
right.
a goal I wanted to hit in the next 10 to 12 years, and I was jumping at it.
Yeah,
Even if we don't say, oh, he wasn't even close. Well, guess what? I was jumping at it, and that is a
yeah,
big deal. I'm 24, and for just like how you asked, like, what do I think I can do? I don't know what I can do.
yeah,
I want to see, and I'm so excited. But I really got to lock in on now
yeah.
because we got Olympic trials coming up. But I'm excited for what I will be in the future.
Well, there's the other thing too, is that, Javon was what in 2021 was a senior at LSU. So
Yep.
he's still young like you. This is only 3 years later. We have a short turnover. So he's in his early to mid 20s. You're in your early to mids. Vernon, early to mids. Vernon jumped 7-6 in high school, right?
Yep.
So he's still around. I had a chance to do one of the podcasts with Tahaswin, TJ Shankar
Yep.
from India. I'm sure you've jumped against him, right? I mean, he's
Oh
another
yeah.
guy who jumped 228 in high school or something. It was kind of silly. Like he was 16 or 17 at the time. He's jumping out of the building. So you've got all these young jumpers. Fabian Delrid, kid from Sweden, jumped 7-7, right? And he's 19 or 20 now. He's a big,
Wow.
robust dude, right? I'll send you some of his videos. He's a foot scraper. He scraped his foot when he jumped 7-7 3/4. So yeah, there's a lot of you guys, and
Yes.
I'm excited looking at the two kids you said from Grand Valley State. You got two kids at the D2 level jumping 7-3 3/4, 7-4 and 5. There's a lot of young, talented jumpers here in the U.S. All of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, the cupboard was looking kind of bare. Now all of a sudden, it's looking kind of stocked. You guys are, and you're
Yeah.
battling each other, which only raises the bar, like we are talking about. You guys are pushing it.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal.
I agree. In 2022, like whenever I got 30 USAs, and some people thought it was a down year and things like that. But now we look forward. Now in 2024, we got this many kids jumping
Hmm.
225, 226 plus, and they're
Yeah.
all 23, 22,
Yeah.
24. All in that age range. So it's exciting for. American high jump and even just high jump in general.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
like it is very exciting. I think all of us are just going to push each other. We're going to get to share the stage together, be on teams together. Because, some
Yeah.
people outside of track and field, they don't understand. It's not just Olympics. You got
Oh,
world
yeah.
championships before and after every Olympic year. Between even with those meets, you have NACACs, you have Pan American Games, and even more sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Diamond League
like,
stuff.
yep.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to actually be on a team with Eli Kosiba from Grand Valley State. We won a
Hmm.
Pan American Games team together. We roomed together, so I got to know him really well. At the time, his PB was 225, mine was 24, and now
Yeah.
he's 28. I'm 26. And you just
Yeah.
see how you
Yep.
just keep going up, you keep pushing each other, and
Yeah.
wanting to do better. So,
I think that's awesome. Between
yeah.
who's the other one you mentioned earlier?
Uh,
Seals,
Ernie Sears,
Ernie Sears.
Ernest, yep, Ernest Sears. He jumped at USC actually.
Yeah, and
Yep,
he's jumped seven. I know he's jumped 7.6 because I watched
yep,
him do it at Mount
230.
Sac, right? 230, 6.5. And then
Yeah,
there's a
he was
guy
very
that he
talented.
beat that day from Texas Tech, who had graduated from Texas Tech. He jumped I want to say 5.5 or 5.25 or something, and he's a foot scraper. I don't know if you know who that would
It
be.
it was probably Trey Culver.
Okay.
Back then, it was Trey Culver
Yeah.
was really good from Texas Tech.
Just a couple years ago. It was not this last Mount Sac, but the year before, because I was there watching, Barb jump, and then I got to see, the girls on Saturday, Vashti and some of the other ones jump at Mount Sac. It was the first year they opened Mount Sac after the long wait while they redid the whole stadium. They're pushing to make that the trial spot in 2028, which would be interesting. I
Okay.
don't know if they can do it just because I don't know if the stadium's big enough. I haven't been to Eugene since I jumped up there in college. I mean, it just looks huge now. It's like an Olympic
Yeah,
stadium. I mean, how many people does it hold? Is that like 30, 40, 50,000?
I'm not even sure, but it is pretty big.
Yeah.
One thing about it, they have really it's like a big one side tall, the other side's tall. They don't have like a full dome, so that
Hmm.
limits the capacity, but it is a lot of seats for a track
Yeah.
and field stadium.
Okay. And man, it's so awesome. Do you know anything you can tell the listeners, Dontavious, about if they're curious? Because the one thing about the history of track and field in our country is that at least on the Olympic years, it tends to be a little bit better as far as finding it on TV, right? So where can we watch you in action at the trials? Is it going to be on Peacock? Is it going to be on some pay-per-view thing? What's going on? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I expect it to be on NBC or some of the news channels, but for me specifically, I will have my Instagram live going during the qualification round, and God willing, I make it to the final. I will have my Instagram live going for the final. So if y'all follow me on Instagram at Dontavious Hill 3, actually Dontavious Hill, I will have my Instagram live going on June 27th and June
Cool.
30th.
What do you have to do that? You just make sure you're all charged up and just show up with your iPad or your phone, or how does that work?
So I got family coming, so I'm just gonna give my phone to my brother in the stands, and he's gonna record the whole thing.
Okay. Man, see, this is the other thing. I want to do that. I hate the coverage. I mean, I want to have you guys covered, but then I'm like a jump nerd, so I want my angles where I can really see what you guys are doing. And I want to have it a great view, not the view from the stands. No offense to your brother and your family because
Yeah,
they don't let you out onto the track, right? I'm just like,
yeah,
you guys are doing such a terrible job. I mean, take football, take golf. I mean, golf. You watch the Masters or the British Open or something. They've got cameras following every group. They've got, either following them along. You've always got a camera crew following Tiger. You've got, different guys, but it's like if you can make golf interesting or fun to watch, you got to work pretty hard because most people watch golf and get bored to tears. I can get through it. I love watching the Masters on and on. Look at football on Monday night. I mean, the different cameras, the different angles, they've got angles of everything. It's like track and field has more unbelievable athleticism happening every 5 seconds than a football game because a football game you get timeout in between plays. You're watching here they go on the 100, and then as soon as you're done with that, your attention is let me direct your attention over here. Somebody running down the thing for a pole vault or a long jump. Somebody's throwing something. It's like a three-ring circus. There's something going on all the time. You got to have somebody in the truck watching all the cameras, right? That's going, hey, dude, drop everything. Go over here. Dontavious is jumping at 224. Let's get him on right now. I don't want to do this. This happened 5 seconds ago or 5 minutes ago. I want to see it live, right? And with all the best angles you can get and replays, I would have force plates under there. Let's talk about how much force is being generated or what, have people drawing lines on it. And so here's this 35-degree lane. Amazing stuff. All right, so you're gonna jump on Thursday, Sunday. You get 2 days off in between. We got to find out. I might have to plan another podcast where I just go on a rant and just say, hey, if you guys want to watch, that I will definitely promote yours because I love that idea. I've been toying with the idea myself of just going to some of these meets and just, I even asked Doug Nordquist. I go, hey, do you want to be my anchor? And go over there and go, hey, I'm here with Doug Nordquist, former Olympian, and we're just going to go through the high jump and comment on it like it's a football game and do it live.
Yeah.
I have to give it a try.
I just checked it out, Troy. It's gonna be on CBS. I know for sure, CBS Sports. Um, but yeah, I plan to get out to Mount Stack next year if you're gonna be anywhere near that meet.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely. That's in my wheelhouse. There's a man I wish you'd have gotten to meet, and maybe you did. I don't know if you ever got to meet. Did you meet Ron Kamaka at Mount?
I don't think I did.
Well, Ron Kamaka is a great jumper. Went to Arizona State. He was like a 7'3" guy, kind of like me. But I know he took jumps at some higher heights and almost made them. He's from Hawaii, and he was body surfing or surfing one day, and unfortunately broke his neck and was paralyzed, from the waist down, and some movement in his hands, and went on to, after some grappling with some tough decisions, and he confided in me later that he had some of those dark moments where he was thinking about ending his own life. He ended up becoming a Christian and a great godly man and an awesome coach for years at Mount Sac. So he was the guy at Mount Sac that was helping build that track and field, cross country, everything else. And they had just made the stadium. I mean, he came. I got to visit with him. He took me on a tour. He was so proud. He was just like, God, this place is amazing. I'm like, dude, they're gonna come in here. It's gonna be awesome, And they're like, so we were breathlessly waiting for the opening of that meet. So I think the first one was 2022. Like I said, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2022. But Ron, he passed away in COVID because his immune system was a little compromised, and when he got COVID, he went into a coma. He didn't come back. So, but he would have loved talking with him. A great motivator, always all about the jumping still, and I always think about him when I hear Mount Sac. I think about Ron first. So, but yeah, great venue, just unbelievable. Have you been there yet?
Nope, haven't been there, but
Oh,
I hear about it every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Every
It's
year.
gorgeous. I mean, it's really nice. I don't know what it's like compared to Eugene. Like I said, my experiences with Eugene were pre 1990 even. So I mean, I went to dual meets there in 82, 3, and 4. So that was or 83, 4, and 5. So we went 3 years in a row. And my last year we beat them. And my junior year, we beat them so bad in the dual meet, they never invited us back. But the first 2 years, they killed us. So it was like we went up with a 2-year winning streak. I was a freshman on that team with Dell Davis and Lee Balk, and they were 7'7" and 7'6" jumpers. And they decided to take me, which was amazing. I think I'd still only jump like 210. And it actually snowed in that meet. And you can believe that. And that they were still, I believe they had still held the trials there for a long time. They used to have these old wooden stands, and the people would pack in there like when we went up there, they would fly us in the day before, which was weird, but it's something about the flights. It wasn't that they wanted to give us any extra time because other places like Cal would just fly us in that morning. But we got there and we had a chance to go down and check out the track, right? Blah, 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 blah. And so the day before was cloudy and kind of cold, but not really that bad. Saturday morning, my freshman year, when we got there, it was cold. I mean, gunmetal gray, temperature dropped. It's in the low 40s. We're out there warming up, and we're Southern California kids. I mean, it's cold. I'm just like, I'm wearing sweats and tights, and I'm like, this is terrible. And we're out in this they have that little ring out in the middle, and they have you sitting in there. So there's like three guys from Oregon, three guys from UCLA waiting, and they're going to do the introductions. And they go, okay, well, direct your attention out to high jump, and Del Davis, Lee Balkin, and whenever they say my name is always crickets. So like nobody knows who you are, but they're doing the announcements, and I'm not kidding. I'm looking out, and it's been rainy, drizzly, whatever, and all of a sudden you see you know, snowflakes coming down. And I'm looking down, I'm like, it is snowing at this meet. And the guy goes, he goes, yeah. And next up and then he stops and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, is that snow? And the crowd is just like quiet. And he goes, first call for the men's giant slalom. And everybody just cracks up, it's like on. Like these fans, I'm telling you, we went to breakfast that morning and we're reading the local paper. They doped out the meet and they had it. They go, this would be a close meet. And we have UCLA winning by 1 or 2, right? Of course, they get everybody fired up, and everybody and their grandma is in the stands. And it's freezing cold, rainy, snowy, and there's like packed. And they're stomping their feet on those old wooden bleachers. And I'm telling you, man, I think we were done when we walked out. It was like, I remember the first year they just pounded us. In the second year, they had a guy running the 400 who was from Brazil, Joaquim Cruz, and he ended up winning the gold medal in the 800 for Brazil. So he's on the team. He personally kicked our butts. Personally, he won the 4, he won the 8, and he anchored the 4x4 relay. And they just destroyed us. And then I think we were leading the long jump 1, 2, 3. And they went 3 jumps in a row. They went from 4th, 5th, and 6th to 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Like their guy beat,
Wow.
next guy beat, next guy beat. So they went from getting swept to sweeping. And it was just like, oh my gosh, then we get killed again. They Joaquin cruised us, I always say. And then my junior year, when we showed up, same bad weather and everything. And then on the Friday, but on Saturday morning, bright blue skies, like some high weather pattern came in, and it was 85 degrees and sunny, like our weather. Everybody just went, oh, cool, just like at home. And we rolled them. We went up we beat them 100 to whatever. And that was the last UCLA Oregon dual meet. And it's not like they're scared of us, because now that was before they got Nike money, right? Now they're good at everything, football, basketball, track, doesn't matter. Back then, I think it was more of just a track school. But yeah, I mean, the facility's always been amazing because of the whole Prefontaine thing, right? And they've always had the Nike money running through there, and it was
Yeah,
Trackdown USA. You ever been
it's
there?
nice.
Let's mention that just because this is me reminiscing. But have you been to Tracktown Pizza?
Haven't.
Gotta go. Gotta go. I
Okay.
highly recommend it. Okay. It's right downtown. It's the campus is still located on the university, right? So you're in College Town, Oregon. So you're going down there and just ask around, just go, where's Tracktown Pizza? And they'll direct you in there. And it's like the walls are just covered with photos of athletes in black and white, great, mostly Oregon, but some others. And it's just a gas. I remember they had pictures of former great, it's football, basketball, track, everybody's in there. I recommend the mile pizza with the whole wheat crust. That was very good back in the day. I got taken there as a freshman, and then of course my sophomore and junior years, I always felt it was my role to take the younger guys and go, dude, you got to come down here. We got to go check this place out. So yeah, that's a lot of fun, but it's a great atmosphere. I don't know if they're ever going to pull that away. Even though Mount Sac is a gorgeous track and there's Nike money running through that one. That's the only thing. I think since there's Nike money there, they might want to move it. I don't know, but I mean, right now Eugene and track are synonymous, right? You
Yeah,
still
that's
NC2A finals are there. They've got is it the Nike Nationals are there, right?
mm-hmm.
USCF is there. I mean, like, seems like almost everything that's big at all is there.
It's the historic thing to do, I mean, there's a lot of history in Hayward just with Olympic trials and things like that. And
Mhm.
it's just a beautiful track. Like you said, they got the Nike money. It's the best facility that we have in the US, I
Yeah,
believe it was. It's the best one I've been to. And it's
yeah.
one of the best in the world. They held worlds there. Um, so yeah, I don't see them taking it away, or if they do move it, it's gonna have to be like a place like Mount Sac, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
if
They
I've
do
never
have
seen it.
when you get there, big scoreboard, and you can see as it's going on. Like I love watching the football games when guys running for a touchdown. You see him look up at the screen, and he's watching himself run down the sideline for a touchdown or whatever, and also looking to see if there's anybody getting close to tackle him. Like, oh, okay, I'm in the clear. But I always wondered if you could do that. Like you're running around the curve and going, hey, look at there. Okay, I need to lean or something like that. Well, hey, I don't want to keep you up. I saw you yawning, so if I reach the yawning index, that means I'm boring you to tears. But I appreciate you sticking with us. I'm sorry if I screwed up the first part, but we did start recording and we got a lot more stuff. And then I'm gonna throw this idea out to you. Number one, for those of you out there listening, this is Troy Haines Raise the Bar podcast. We're getting some athletes like the great Dontavious Hill here, who's going to be competing this next week on Thursday at Eugene, Oregon. We were just talking about it, the U.S. Olympic trials, the qualifying round. And then following up after 2 or 3 days of rest, it's Thursday, Sunday, depends on how you look at it, right? And then you're going to jump again in the final. We're just going to call that now. I'm going to start going to DraftKings and putting my money on you. You got to find out what your plus and minus is on Dontavious Hill right now. What are the odds of making the finals? I got money. I talked to him. He's confident. He's rolling. So we're looking forward to hearing that. And then let's direct everybody. Tell them again how to find you and how to be listening to your live broadcast.
Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram at Dontavious Hill. I will be going live for the high jump competition at it's approximately 3 p.m. Pacific time on June 27th and on June 30th, approximately around 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Beautiful. All right. So we've got the lowdown, we've got the inside information from Dontavious Hill himself, a little bit of the pregame strategy. You know what he's going to do on the trial the first day, and then troubleshoot or predict. You make it into the final. What's going to happen? What's the difference between that and the other thing? Number one, the field's smaller, and number two, do they open higher? Have they already seen that?
Yes, they do. So they're opening at 216, 7-1, and they're going to skip right to 221, 7-3, then start going by threes from there to 24, 27, 30, 33.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So, and we know that you are looking for a 233 so that you've got the Olympic standard. And then weird case, say somebody else jumps 230 and it's not Javon or the one or the two that are in, but somebody else that's right on the bubble. They jump a 230, which is really, really close, and they're number three. Do they not go because they haven't hit the Olympic standard, or is there an A and a B standard?
If somebody else jumps 230, the only way they get to go is if they have the world ranking quota. They have to be that jump had to get them to top 36 in the world.
Okay. So
That's how it works.
let's do you throw you in that scenario. You jump 230. And I don't want to say that because I think you're going to jump even higher, but let's say you jump 230. Do you have that pull to make 230 work?
If I jump 230, and I jump 230 for PR, as long as I finish top three, there's a great chance I'll go. If I jump 230 and another guy who is close to the bubble is ahead of me, that's a situation where we're going to be waiting to see is his points going to be enough to stick him in the quota.
Right.
So that's going to be the situation.
Third place with or without the height is pretty good, but third place with the height is golden.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But
all right.
if
Well,
third place,
yeah.
top three finish is golden. But top three finish, don't let anybody beat you who don't have a standard.
Yeah. Right.
Simple.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the best way for it, right? The simplest is the easiest to understand. Well, Dontavious, again, I appreciate your time. I'll throw this idea out to you too, since you are friends with Eli, and Eli and JJ mentioned this. We need to do a simulcast of some kind and get all of us in the room together, get us talking at the same time, get everybody called in. I was fortunate enough to have that happen once by accident with Marcus Gelpi, and we got Randall Cunningham to call in, which was completely random. I had just met him at Mount Sac, and he was so gracious to me because he didn't know me from Adam. I'm like, he was a great NFL quarterback. His daughter's one of the best in the world. And I said, hey, I got a podcast. I'd love to get you on. And, he gave me his number, which was shocking to me. I was talking to Barbara, the joke on the phone. I said, I felt like I was asking to go to the prom. I'm like, I don't know. Should I approach him? Should I just say, hey, And she's like, I don't know. Yeah, go for it. So I said, I approached and gave me the number. And, I think I called him once and he said, he's a busy man. He's a pastor and, he's coaching his daughter. So he's like, yeah, we're kind of busy, but he goes, I'll see if I can swing some time. And out of the blue, I mean, he literally called me as Marcus and I were doing a podcast, and I got my phone lights up and says Randall Cunningham. I'm like, uh, hang on just a second. So I managed to get him into the room. All of a sudden, we were all there. It was a blast. So I'd like to get that same kind of thing going with all the young. We'll just call it the young guns. You guys are
Yes, sir.
young guns. All right. Well,
And
hey,
Coach Cunningham, I was gonna say one more thing.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Coach Cunningham is a good guy. I met him back in 2022 when I made that NACAC team. His daughter was
Mhm.
on that team. She was NACAC champion that year. And yeah, he's just a really nice guy, very open, likes to talk about training, just high jump in general and stuff like that. So it's been cool knowing him since 2022, and then recently he was at the meet where I opened at 226, and I
Awesome.
told him he saw me in my warm up and stuff, and everybody was competing. He's like, man, you look like you're about to come in at 230, like you're not even out there. I said, I'm coming in at 226, and he said, oh really? And when I went and did it, he was like, I've never seen nothing like that before, and it was
Yeah.
just so cool.
Yeah, well, he was a good jumper in high school. He jumped 6'9" or 6'10" in high school also. And I think he might have played some basketball also in college at UNLV before he went to the pros. I had a minor flirt with that, but I played football of no repute at all. We had a decent team at Millikan High School here in Southern California. We actually played Santa Barbara High School in the quarterfinals when I was a junior, and we actually beat them. And he was the quarterback at Santa Barbara before he went to UNLV. I told him that story, and he was like, said, "Yeah, you guys had a pretty good team, but yeah, he was all that. He was running all over the place. I was back in the day where that wasn't the standard, of what was expected out of a pro. Now it's like you better be able to run and throw. But he was such a great athlete. Yeah, you're mentioning him and his daughter, and then his dad was Sam Bam Cunningham, who was a tailback at or a fullback at USC, played in the pros for years, and I think he scored 4 touchdowns in Rose Bowl against Ohio State. It was crazy. So yeah, the talent running through that gene pool it's pretty amazing, right? Got 2 NFL players and a daughter who's an Olympic level high jumper. Well, hey,
Son jumped about 230 also.
yeah, yeah. Well, hey, man, you guys, I can't wait. I can't wait. Dontavious, best of luck. God bless you, young sir. Appreciate all the work that you're doing and the way you're not a gatekeeper and you're living the example in front of the kids. It's awesome. So best of luck. Keep it up.
Thank you, Troy. I'll do my best at trials.
All right. Can't wait to see it.
All right.
All right. Take care, bud. That was the young man, Dontavious Hill. And once again, I managed to screw up the beginning, but we did get most of the ending with him. I'm going to take a few extra minutes here. We can see if we're going to just run this straight. I might just do that, but I want to take a look again. Dontavious sent us a couple videos. We did more talking after that, which was good. I am going to share screen and we're going to the desktop where we can look at his jumps. Now we have a earlier jump. This is his jump at 7.5. And we see it was on Peacock, it looks like too, which is cool. So this is Dontavious Hill jumping at 7.5. He tells us later that he came in at this height. I think. No, maybe he came in only at 7.8, but yeah, this one was, you can see here, he's a fast double armor. So I'm going to run at regular speed the first time. So let's just watch.
The United States, second attempt for him at 7.5. And that clear.
All right, so that's him. You can hear, we listen to it again, but I think he scrapes his foot on this. We talked about it.
The United States, second attempt for him at 7.5.
Yep, definite foot scrape at 7.5. And he is very fast, and he talked about his speed training. And then you see here a great lean to his left. His foot plant is actually away from the bar here. He said he wasn't crazy about that, but he got away with it here. and really does a good job of hitting vertical. See big high hands over his head. We did talk about that. I don't know if I got it recorded. You can see his hands almost look like he's signaling touchdown here. So he's got full extension at takeoff. He says he's only 6'2", but the knee drive is outrageous. You can see the knee drive gets every bit of 7'5", and he's got that kind of reverse tuck. When he throws his head back, he's going around backwards to some. A la looks very similar to Stephen Holm, and there's a couple other jumpers more recently that have started to rotate this way around the bar. So tremendous fast gather here and reach back, double arm power, very good vertical. The knee drive stays up, straightens it out a little bit, pops the hip a little bit, throws his head down and not back. So this is a tremendous jump at 7'5". That was a new PR. His previous PR before that, I believe, I know he had jumped we went through that progression, 223, 224 is 7'4.25", which I think he had done. I don't think he jumped 225. So this was a 2-centimeter PR. But he said he's been skipping over this height a lot at jumping lower heights and then jumping something higher. So he said he thought he was pretty sure he could get this. So this was June 9th. All right. And now we're going to share the next video that he sent us. He sent us a video that has 3 jumps, all of them at 7'8", which is 234. And he did not come in at any other previous height at this one at all. He just came in and started jumping at 234. So this is the first one. You can see a pretty good pop. Now, he said he wasn't really warmed up yet. He wasn't really running as fast as he could yet. Great lean, great drive. You can see the head and shoulders get up over, but really didn't look like his hips quite had enough there, but it wasn't bad for if you're thinking just straight lining, well, he's only jumped 7'5". This would be a 3-inch PR, 12 centimeters-ish, 9 centimeters maybe. I know, it's a long, big change. All right, so that was that. So we had first and a repeat. All right, and then here comes his second attempt at 7'8". That one was closer. Foot scrape, head goes, he's up and over here before he throws his head straight down, real aggressive. You can see that. Backside arm is already sitting on his hip. The knee drive just looks outrageous. He drove it up and then actually lifted it up even higher before he popped his hip. That was tremendous. You see him pulling up the takeoff leg at the last. He really tries to raise that up and over. And this one looks like you could have fit a 7'7" bar under that 7'8" jump. He said that he felt that he could have combined this jump with the third jump. He thought the two of them together would have had the best chance. So here's the third one. Oh, so close. You can see air under him here. Head and shoulders clear. The bar has not been touched yet. It was only there. So the head goes down, hips are coming up, feet aren't quite together yet. That lead arm's still out there a little bit, but there's that nice position, head and feet on the same level. So we're seeing some really amazing improvement from Dontavious Hill in just the last week or so. 2 weeks of time, he has gone from a young, talented high jumper who has a ton of ability and a ton of things that are gonna happen, to all of a sudden he's in there and knocking on the door. What is going on? Why can't I get this back? Let's go here. There we go. I just need to go stop share. Okay. So yeah, Dontavious goes from someone with a 7'4" and 220 is 2.5, 225 is 4.5. I think he jumped 224. Now he's got a personal best of 226, but he attempted 234 and was taking really good jumps at it. So all of a sudden, you can see the confidence level raising, and talk about perfect timing, because in a week, he's going to be jumping at the Olympic trials up at Eugene. So until then, until the next podcast, we're going to do another pre-flight one, I will do a little bit of research and try to have some numbers for you on some of these young, we're going to call them the young studs, the young guns here in the US. We have at least 5, 6, 7 young guys that seem to be jumping in the 225s and up that are going to be competing for a spot on the Olympic team. We've got Javon Harrison, he's got to be a favorite. Vernon Turner is up there. We've got Dontavious here now at 226. We have Elias that he mentioned at Grand Valley State, who has jumped 228, I believe, also. He's up there. Got a lot of talent flowing around here. And hopefully some of the young guys that we've had back here on the podcast before from Sweden, Fabian Delrid jumped 7.7 3/4. Like to see him make this team. Then also TJ Shankar, who was over here jumping in the States, but is from India. And he's been one of the top jumpers in India, since he was in high school. So now that he's a more accomplished and older jumper who's no longer competing at the college level, who trains over here and is going back over there, I'd love to see him there. Watched his jumps a couple of weeks ago. He's phenomenal. So we got a lot of really good young jumpers that are coming out of the woodworks here for these big meets. So we mentioned Sears, Mr. Sears from SC, who's jumped 230, 7.6.5. And some jumpers, Texas Tech kid that Dontavious mentioned. Hope I'm not offending someone by not knowing the name. I got to do some research. I'll look it up. But anyway, we'll try to set the field for you and, kind of play a little DraftKings or something, see if we can't wager some money on these guys. Until next time, Troy Haines here on Raise the Bar signing off. And we will be talking with you back here soon within the week, getting ready for the U.S. Olympic trials and the high jump, if nothing else. Until then, have a good one. And that's going to wrap it up on another edition of Raise the Bar, a special U.S. Olympic Trials edition of the high jump. We're very fortunate to have with us Dontavious Hill. We talked about many things, his training, jumping as usual. We're able to look a little bit at his jumps at 7.5 and 7.8 and talk about strategy and how he's going to attack the trials. Starting with opening at the opening height, whatever it is, and just jumping every height and enjoying the experience, but also looking to make the final, obviously, and possibly get on that U.S. Olympic team as the number 2 or 3. Always depends on how high you jump and when you jump it, all those good things. But we're looking for great things from Dontavious. We have a great core of young jumpers here in the U.S., lots of talent. And we're just waiting to see how they do when the chips are down, when the big jumps need to come. So stay with us. We're going to have another episode coming up. I'm going to try to get the research done and find out who all is in the final and maybe have a mock draft or figure out, who thinks who's going to win. And maybe it's even on DraftKings. All right. So stay with us here and look to the next edition of Raise the Bar with Troy Haines.